Hey, so I'm too lazy to think of an actual idea and edit it, and it's like late, so I'm just gonna throw together the holiday videos from Thanksgiving to Halloween to Christmas. So, like, enjoy these. I hope you have a good week or whatever. I don't know. I'll try and do something better for the shorts, but I figured I should just let this in. That way you can't say I didn't edit anything. Alright, bye. Hello everybody, today we're finally going to be talking about the last, but technically first, Charlie Brown holiday special. Charlie Brown Christmas. So, going back to the 1960s, we find that Charles Schulz has written a bunch of Peanuts comic strips already, and they get noticed by TV producer Lee Mendelson. And he thought Schulz would be the perfect person to contact to help write a little documentary for a baseball player, Willie Mays. This doesn't sound like Charlie Brown. Get to the Charlie Brown already. Shush! We'll get there when we get there. Now, Lee Melendez wanted 1 to 2 minutes of animation for this baseball documentary, so Charles Schulz suggested an old friend, Bill Melendez. Now, this documentary did go over pretty well, but the networks still didn't really want to do anything with the Peanuts going forward until 1965. The Peanuts were published on a magazine cover, which would prompt a call from John Allen of the New York City based from McCain Erickson Agency. And Mendelson agreed, but now, like you said, even though you were rushing me, we'll finally get to Charlie Brown. Basically, John Allen suggested to Mendelson that they do a 30-minute special for Charlie Brown for the Christmas season. And so the stars aligned, and we finally got the approval for Charlie Brown Christmas, which needed a script done by Monday and sent into Atlanta. But the problem was, it was Wednesday. So Mendelson did the only rational thing, left the meeting, headed for a payphone, and called Schulz and said, "Hey, I sold Charlie Brown Christmas." And Schulz was like, "What's that?" And Mendelson was like, "A special we need to write by Monday." And Charles Schulz, probably confused, said, "Monday? You got it." Oh, and I forgot, Coca-Cola also said they'd help, pay for this, so yeah. And so Charles Schulz got to work writing a script that was due on Monday, and he focused mainly on the true meaning of Christmas and his childhood memories of ice skating in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so writing had begun, and Schulz wanted to have a scene where Linus would read from the Bible because he had grown up in the Midwest with, religious parents, and he had a lot of, stuff involving religious things going on in his childhood, so he decided to have Linus read some parts of the Bible, which studio execs didn't like because religion wasn't allowed to be on TV and promoted because TV was just brand new at the time, so But Schulz said, "I'm gonna do it anyway because this is my thing because you already bought it." And so he did. He had Vince Guaraldi compose the soundtrack to be like a Christmas carol with a mix of jazz. And if you've ever heard the soundtrack for any of the Peanuts movies, yeah, that's practically what it sounds like. And so they decided to start casting after the script was finally approved, and so they began casting, and they wanted to get the personalities right from the comics, so it took a couple tries to find, but they decided to land on child actors for the voices of the characters, because they thought that that would be a more realistic depiction of these characters' personalities. And honestly, I think that was a great choice because, if you go back and watch, you can really see the childlike energy from these characters, and it was a great choice. Now that the voice cast and the music and the writing were all done, it was on to animation. So originally, Bill Melendez was approached by a CBS executive who wanted an hour of animation for this television special, but Bill Melendez said maybe just 30 minutes, and after a little bit of talking and arguing, probably, Bill Melendez got his way, and a 30-minute special for Charlie Brown Christmas was approved. The only reason he went with 30 minutes is because he felt like an hour would be too expensive. Also because he had never made a 30-minute cartoon, like, in his life, so. And so the special was made at first with $76,000, which you do the calculations and let me know in the comments, but that was a lot of money back then. Although it did go like $20,000 over budget, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the animation had started 4 months before the special had to be on air. The day before the premiere, a bunch of animators and executives got together and watched the cartoon, and they did not like it at all. So everyone was like, oh, this is terrible, it'll not run ever again. But one animator, Ed Lovett, said it would run for 100 years, and that guy deserves an award for being psychic, because it's been running for almost 100 years. Okay, well, not really, but it's going to continue to be ran on TV for 100 years. And now we get to the part where the studios fight over it, but if you want a more, like, explained section, go back to Charlie Brown Halloween special, because I explained it more there, because that was the first video in this series. But in short, the special switched hand a couple times and is now airing every December thanks to Apple TV+. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Stay golden! So I had been struggling with ideas for what to do during October, because I had already done like 3 or so videos on Halloween and stuff, and then it hit me, why not talk about one of the most famous holiday specials of all time? It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And as for the other 2 specials, don't worry about it, we'll get there when we get there. It was the 3rd special ever made. First was obviously Charlie Brown Christmas, and then the next one was Charlie Brown's All-Stars. I believe that one was about baseball. I don't know. There's plenty of videos covering other Peanut specials. And so being the 3rd special that CBS had approved to be made, the team had a lot more creative control. The team, of course, being 3 guys, Charles Schulz, Bill Melendez, and Lee Mendelson. So nowadays, it'd just be considered indie animation. Despite being the 3rd special, it was the 2nd one to be based off of its original comic panels from the newspaper. The special was written pretty fast, I'm guessing due to the fact that most of it was based off of the comic, and it just had to be like translated loosely into a script. The special was given $76,000, which adjusted for inflation today is $759,943.70. To put that in a frame of reference for everyone, the last season of Friends, one episode costed $10 million. If you were to try and make something with that budget nowadays, you'd have 2 minutes of a show. Like all of the other Peanuts specials, all of the characters were voiced by children. When it came time for the animation, obviously the team was led by Bill Melendez. And unlike the 2 previous specials we had gotten, It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown had frequent camera movements. And we have talented artist Dean Spills. I'm gonna put the name up on the screen because I'm not sure if I pronounced it right. But this guy is the reason we got most of the backgrounds for the World War I Flying Aces scenes. And once all was said and done, we had finally gotten a 25-minute runtime for It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And on October 26th, it was released first in Canada, and then the next day, the 27th, released worldwide. And it was tied for number 1 with My Three Sons and Bonanzas on the Nelson's TV rating system. And that's the production history for It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Remember, stay golden. So today we're going to be talking about Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. And this video was recorded in advance because I felt like I should make the Thanksgiving video, but I was going to make it last week. Anyway, it's not important. So you should probably know who Charlie Brown and the rest of the Peanuts gang are, but if you don't, let me go through a quick history. Charles M. Schulz created a comic series called Little Folks, and after a lot of time in between, finally settled on the name Peanuts, which he hated, but the comic distributor thought would be way better than Little Folk. So, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving was the third holiday special, but the 10th special overall. And just like the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown will be covering the history of this special, or as far as I can find on Wikipedia. The first thing of note is that it's the first special to not rely on any comic strips at all for the story. Except for the football gag, apparently, but the rest of it is completely brand new writing by Schulz. Another quick thing, this special has the same voice cast as Snoopy Come Home, You're Not Elected, Charlie Brown, and There's No Time for Love, Charlie Brown. Now, just like most of the other 9 specials before it, this special was written by Charles Schulz and produced by Lee Mendelson and Bill Melendez. The special had first aired 2 days before Thanksgiving on November 20th, 1973. And it was third for the Nielsen rating system, right behind All in the Family and Stanford and Son. And it had continued to air every single year except for 1982, 1983, 1988, and then every year past 1989. Except in the 90s, it would air on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. But in 2001, it would be brought back to ABC to air alongside all of the other Peanuts specials. And on ABC, it would be given the 1-hour time slot, and the last half of the hour, it would play a new, slightly edited Mayflower Voyage cartoon as a part of the miniseries This Is America, Charlie Brown. And in 2018, it would finally be aired in Canada around October when they would have Canadian Thanksgiving. Now, this part will be a little oversimplified because he explained it a little more in the It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown production video, but basically in 2020, Apple TV decided to buy the rights so they could air it on Apple TV Plus. But people disliked that, so Apple just came up with a deal and let It's a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and all the holiday specials air each year. And that's the production history of Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching, have a great Thanksgiving, and stay golden.